Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome. I'm just getting my uh, comments up, so hang on one second. Let's see what's going on here. And we'll see. There we go. All right, I've got the comments up. So if you're out there, go ahead and you can give a thumbs up or say hello. And we'll check from there. Let me see what that's doing. All right, so there, I think I've got this all set now. There we go. A few people are out there. Let me put the camera on and we'll do a little chatting. Hi, everyone. So here we are. Oh my gosh, where are we? At the end of the year, almost. I think this is my last live of the year. And I'm so excited. I always love doing the zip pouches. Now, if you're new and you don't know who I am, I'm Ann Hine, embroidery software specialist for Janome America. And usually Thursdays are my day. It's going to continue that way next year as well. So you'll still see me here on Thursday. So that's always fun. And then, of course, I pop on different times on Wednesdays, and then I'll do a Friday here and there over on the Continental Club page. So if you all of our videos we do on each of those pages are stored on those pages, so you can always go back and watch a video. Or, if you find a video you like, I think I posted something on working with Facebook, but there's three little dots up to I think they're on the right side. So if you go up there and click that, you can save the video to your account. So, and you can organize them into groupings. And I did a video on, I think I did a live on that while I was in Portland. And that was like eons. I don't even remember that whole time I was in Portland for so long. But I'm back in the studio. And yes, this is our last zip pouch of the month. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through some of our zip pouches. I don't have them in order, but I'm just going to talk about them to show you them. And then at the end, I'll reveal the one for this month. Now, I have not put up the class notes yet, only because I wanted to make sure if there were any changes or additions to them, I wouldn't have to reprint them and then have everybody reprint them again. So, and I see it didn't print all of my instructions for me either. That's weird. All right, well, we'll figure it out. So anyways, so I really need an assistant some days. And if Dot was over here, that would be very helpful, but Dot is somewhere else. All right, so let me put the camera on and we'll go over there. And I have my comments on. I'm going to go back through. I saw a couple of comments and I just want to check those as well. Let's see if I go here. Will that bring, oh, there we go. All right, so this one, I'm going to look back. Oh, Deborah's here. She's brand new and need to learn the software. Well, I suggest, Deborah, that you hang in here with us here or over on the Janome Artistic Digitizer Facebook page. Go to our guides under there and you'll find all our AD skill builders. And that really is the beginning of learning the software. So it starts at the beginning and it works through lots of things. There's like 20 something videos with class notes, so you can print those out at there. Well, of course, Dot, you're at home. Of course, of course. All right, let's see who else is out here. So welcome everybody. All right, we got a nice little group. So this is where we started at the beginning of the year. This was our January one. It was a rather basic one. It did have little loops on the side. It was not lined or anything, but it did have, you could have an embroidery there or not. And then I did like the curved part of it. So these videos are all located over on the Janome Artistic Digitizer Facebook page, and they're under guides under zip pouch of the month. So then we moved on. I think we moved on to something like this. So this was lined. You can see my polka dotties in there. And I also put like a slip pocket on the back. With my loop, I added a ring. And of course, you have your zipper. And I think I started these little zipper covers over here. These little zipper tabs on the edges. I think that makes a nice addition. So the difference is here your zipper goes right to the edge. Here you have a little bit of extra. And it's a lot nicer, I think, over on this side. So you have a little bit, your zipper's more secure in there, okay? Then we went large, I think. This might be our large one. Let me move my camera up a little bit because this one is big. This to fit in the whole hoop. Now this one has the outer zipper and of course D-rings on either side, but I also did an inner zipper. So there's a whole other piece in here with a zipper. So you have your inner and outer. And of course, I love the slip pocket. And I did this portion ahead of time and then added it in the stitch out with my pouch. So we did that one. Let me move this paper out of the way. Then we did, let's say we did this, I don't know when we did this one, but we worked on adding loops at the top, doing a zipper in this area like that. And I have the zipper over here as well. We did some just line quilting there. It is all lined on the inside. There we go. This one doesn't have any pocket. This one doesn't have any pocket, but I did put the loops on this one, but not on this one. So there you go. So that was one of the months. And then, oh, this is one of my favorites. This is our hippo bag. We made a bag the shape of I have this stuffy that I made a while ago, and I just took that and gave it an outline and created the pouch. So on the back side is where our zipper is. So you create this part and put the zipper in first. Well, you stitch this separately. Then you make your back piece and then you add your front to it and sew around it, turn it through the zipper, and you're all set. Now at some point when we were doing linings, we were turning through the inside. So it would completely look like this when you pull it off of your, well, I'd have to turn it up one more time. They would look like this when you're doing a lining. It's like birthing twice, I swear. Whew. So it comes off your machine looking something like this. And then you find that opening in the lining, like there, and that's your first turn. So it's all the lining. And then you turn it again. You can close this, but I didn't bother to close it because I like to show it. So let me turn it again. So this is my little favorite one, my little hippo bag. There we go. Isn't that cute? All right. Then we went to top zippers. So this zipper is on the top, like that. Slip pocket on the back. This is all lined as well. This one has the top zipper, slip pocket, snap, has D-rings lined inside. Then we did ones with little pockets. This was for a friend of mine. I did one in a kid's print, and she could put her crayons in here, and then all cute line on the inside. And then it has this strap, so you can put it on a book or something like this. It could sit on a book, so it would hold onto the book. Then we did some with windows in them. Pretty cool. Let me check my comments. Yeah, you have to check with your the American Janome dealers. They were the ones that had this fabric. And then we did one with vinyl at the bottom. And I used vinyl over here. Then we did one where we did a purse and we did a nice curve at the bottom. This one is lined. Once we got to doing lining, I just kept at it with the lining, and it has a zipper on the back, on the side on the back, all lined. So you have a little pocket back here. So I did this one a couple different times. One of them is put away. I think I have it says Janome on it. It's in my Janome bag. But I did one with a nice embroidery on the front and a magnetic snap here with a flap. And then of course you can open it up, get in your bag this way. And then there's the pocket on the back. Okay. Now, the other one I did for Janome, I think I put Janome on here, or I have Janome, a band on there. So that is like, that was like month 11. And now we are at 12. So let me show you what I came up with for 12. Da, 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 da. Here we are. And with this one, I did not do a pocket on the back, but I do have, it's hard to see it because I did it red thread on black there. I do have some quilting on the back. I do have Janome on the front. But this time what I did is I made this little flap to cover your zipper, and we added a decorative band. This is actually a ribbon. So I'll show you how to do that. And you could cover it completely with your flap if you want, or you can have it show a little bit. And we did some piecing in the hoop as we went. This is stitch and flip. And what that means is, you know, you lay two fabrics on top of each other, right sides together, it sews it down, flip one over, lay this fabric right side down, stitch it and flip, stitch and flip. I did a little bit of fussy cutting to get a few things in there. You know, it's a little bit to figure out that, and you can make your sections, you know, bigger, smaller, or you can make them go all the way, you know, all the way to the top, however you want. But I was doing the diagonal, and then I have a diagonal piece here. I'm going to show you all of that in the instructions. And then, of course, I put a little zipper pull on there with my little bicycle on there. So this is number 12. I do have the loops on either side. I can add rings to those if I wanted to. I didn't add a D ring to start, so sometimes I like to add those split rings and then just add it when I want it on there. There we go. And this is lined as well. Let me open it up and show you the inside. Now I did not do the turn lining. You can see a little bit here. I need to trim my stabilizer for that. But I did a finished edge here, okay, instead of doing the flip and turn. This has a lot of elements, and so at some point I'm like, let's not add one. You know, we could add it very easily, but I just didn't want to get overwhelmed with too many things, especially with the flap. So I have a nice series of bags with all this beautiful fabric. I love this fabric. This might be one of my, this one and this one are my favorites, I think. Then there's the Fiona. Then there's that one. Oh my gosh, I don't know. I think they're all my favorites. So let me go back to the camera, and I'm going to ask how many of you have done some of the bags, the zip pouches, and which ones have you done? Let's see if I can get this to come up. There we go. All right, so you can just post it in the comments and let me know which ones you've done so we can go from there. Now, what I want to show you, I'm going to put the camera, I don't know if this will show in the camera that well, so I might have to hold it up. So today what I did is I printed out, somehow the instructions didn't all print. I may have to go look at my printer and see if there's some hiding over there. I'm not sure what happened. But I did print out, and this is hard because of the lighting. Let me see if I turn, I don't know if that light will help. Or let's see. So this is a printout, and I'm going to show you what it looks like on the screen. But the reason I print it out is because at the bottom, I have my color changes, which I really like, so that I can, I print this out before I start stitching the first time, and then I can see which, where I'm at, because I can see that on the screen of my machine, but I can see it here as well. And I can make notes on here. There is a way to print it so that you end up with something, it's 2 pages, and you end up with 1 page that is blank at the top. It's with some designs, and I'll show you how to do that. So let me check my printer, because for some reason I only have 1 page of directions, and the guest didn't print. Okay, well, we're okay with that. I'm okay with that. I can figure it out. All right, so let me put the software on, and I'll show you how I did this. Of course, you know, I always go back to a previous pouch because there's elements there. Why not? Why do I have to reinvent them when they're already there? So I did go back and use a pouch from a previous time. And let me check over here. Let's see. Oh, good. So I will go to the software. Let's go there. All right, so here we are in the software. And I'm going to close this because I don't need that. And I'm hoping I'm in the right place because I have 2 different, yep, I am. I want to make sure I was in the full program. Here we go. All right, so I'm going to go down here to my, my browser up here. I already opened my folder. So I brought over a folder that has all my trials and tribulations. So you can see how many times some different things that I tried. Here we go, of all the different variations. But what I'm going to show you is this final one here. And what I'm going to do is, when you look at it this way, it looks very confusing, right? Because you can see everything all at once. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete these sections. I have to think about which way to delete them, because I can delete them and then add them back in. Let's see. Okay, so if I do undo, it brings them in from the bottom. Well, let's go to the top. We'll do it through slow redraw. So I started at the top. And actually, you know, when I start making a pouch, I will bring in a sample one. Let's see if I can figure if I saved it here. Oh, here we go. So here's a previous one. And in this previous one, I'm not sure which month this is, that we have a placement line here is number 1. This is an inner tack down line, and then another tack down of fabric. Here we have our zipper and then our zipper box. And a lot of times I'll just come in and grab the zipper box stuff from here to here like this, because I've already made it. I have the 2 tack downs, and then I have some top stitching, and I'll copy that, and I'll go to a new page, and I'll paste it. And then I'll have this right over here. So if I go up here to auto, I can see all my sections. Now, I've saved it the first time. You always want to save when you're creating as a draw file, because then when you do that over here, you will see you can change as many things as you want. If you only save as a GIF, you have to convert it again back to the elements, which sometimes distorts it a little bit. So I always save first as a draw file, and then I go from there. So let me ungroup this. So partly I'm ready to go. I have the zipper stuff figured out. This will stitch down, it'll give me that box. This will stitch down the zipper. And then I can add fabric, and these are some top stitches there as well. So I have a start to it. And then I'll go back and figure out, okay, the shape of my bag, and I'll work from there. And I end up with something like this. We'll go to the top. And let's do it this way. There we go. So what I did is I combined the 3 areas that are, and I'll copy these and go to a new page, that will stitch first. These are all placement lines. Okay. And so there's the zipper box I brought from the other one. I just changed the color. This is the very outer edge placement. All my fabrics need to be at least this big. And then this is going to be the box placement for the batting, for the front of it. All right. So that would be the first thing you would stitch out. And you can create these using your, if you wanted to do the round part, you could go to rectangle, and up here you have roundness, and you can decide, usually I do 40 or 30%. And then when you click and drag, look at that, you get these nice curved corners. I'm going to zoom in so you can see them. And I don't need the center part, so I can select that, and down here in my used colors, I can X out. So that would leave me my outline. And then I can adjust my outline to whatever size I want to make my pouch. And I can add my elements into there. So when you're creating, a lot of times you're not working from start to finish. You might start with the embroidery part of it, maybe the fancy part, and then you'll add those other things again. And then in your sequence window is where you're going to have to move things around. And that's where you would resequence it. When we talk about resequencing, you can click on these and you can drag them into another position so you can see which way they're going to stitch. Now, you can check your stitching by going to slow redraw. All right, so we'll go back to my final one. So I've got this selected, so let's go to slow redraw so you can see that, and this will stitch out. I'm going to move the speed up to 1200. And then I'm going to stop it when it gets all of these done and show you the next section. So it's going to come inside now, and it'll do the, if I click on here, I can make it move a little faster. Zipper box. And so all of these are my placements. And then if I go to select up here, in just a second, we'll go back. All right. So the next thing we're going to add is this box here. This is our tack down for our batting that we're going to put below our stitching here. So I'm going to click on this one, and I'll go to slow redraw, and it has all of this done. So this is what it would look like in your hoop when you're done stitching. And you would take your batting and you would lay it right over this piece right here. This inner part is your placement line for your batting. And then you would hit your machine to start, and it's going to stitch right on top of this line. So your batting will be sticking out a little bit. And once it finishes stitching, you can go ahead and trim it close to that line. And then we'll go get the next part. Hang on one second. Okay, so the next part is, since my zipper box is already in there, I'm going to lay my zipper in, and I'm going to tack my zipper down. So 5 and 6 are tacking the zipper. So I'm going to go back over to slow redraw, and my zipper's laying down right in here, taped in, and then I'm just going to stitch it down on this side, and I'm going to let it stitch to the next one as well. So we'll go through these steps, and then I'll go back and select the elements so that you can see some of the parameters and things that I've chosen for each of those, so you can see that part. All right, so my zipper is stitched in at this point. We did number 6. And then I have these 4 lines right here. These are for those zipper covers. That's what I call zipper covers. And typically I will lay the fabric like a 1.5 by 2-inch piece of fabric here. So one edge is along here and the rest of it comes out this way. And it will stitch it down, and then I'll fold it back, and then it'll top stitch it. And then it goes over here and it'll do the same thing. So those are those zipper covers. Does that make sense? Oh, Janie made 5. Oh, do you see my great earrings? Yeah. Oh, I got those out at a craft show in Portland. All right, so let's go back, and I'm going to start at this one so you can see that those are all stitched in. Let's start at this one actually. All right, so you can see this one would be done. So this one will stitch, I'll have put my fabric down, and it has stitched my fabric. I'm going to fold it back over, and now it's going to top stitch it like that. All right, and then we're going to move on to the next part. So that would be the top stitching. Now these lines here these are the placement lines for the fabrics that we're going to do the flip and fold, and then these are the tack down. And I group these all as one in this version, and then I'll show you in another version I didn't group them. They will stitch now all together, and this makes it really a lot quicker than, you know, stitching this part and then stitching that. Those quilted pieces need to be lay in here, and I'll show you how to tell you how to figure out how wide you're going to do those. And these are your stitch downs right here. So let's go back to our slow redraw. And there's the diagonal. So all your strips that go up have to come at least to this line. Okay, so these are placements. So this section, I would take two fabrics and lay them on top of each other. My first fabric, which was my Janome fabric, and then I had that little black dot. The edge would fit right here. In the next series, you'll see the stitch come in right here, 1/4 inch away. That fabric will be flipped over. It should reach all the way to here. And I think these are, I think this is 1.25 inches, so maybe you need 1.5 inches. I'll show you, I'll measure it and I'll show you with the measure tool. But you want to make sure you have enough fabric on the flip one that it comes all the way to here as we go. Hi, Natalie. Hi, everybody. Oh, hi. Oh, Donna's here. Let's see who else. Deborah, Marty, Michelle, Noreen, welcome. Janie's here. Let's see who else. Did I miss anyone? Cheryl, welcome. All right, so these are all the placement lines for the quilting, and now it's starting to tack them. It's starting the part where it stitches them down. So I would have laid my fabrics here. It would stitch it. I would flip the top one over, lay the new one on top, stitch it, flip it. Now it's going to, I laid the next one on here. It's going to stitch that one, and I'll flip it over here. It's, you know, it's like quilt as you go. It's very much quilt as you go. Stitch and flip. Very easy to do. So once that gets done, it's going to do another diagonal right here. And that's my trim line. Here we go. So it's going to put a line right there. And when it gets to the bottom, I'm going to stop so I can talk about this. There we go. So once that stitches, I can trim all the tops of these fabrics even right here so they're not sticking out. And this will be my placement line for this diagonal fabric. So I'll have to put my fabric along here, right sides to these pieces. There's another stitch line. It'll come down here about 1/4 inch away. We'll show that next. Let's see. Here's that. So I've already placed my diagonal fabric. It's going to stitch it down. And this stitch is about 1/4 inch away from that one. Yeah, I like the stitch and flip. Now, if you want to do stitch and flip and you don't want to do these and have a diagonal, I would suggest going across this way maybe, or up and down this way. Do all the way up. Don't even do this part if you don't want to. Make these come all the way to the top. You don't have to do the diagonal, but I always like to challenge you with something new. Okay, now once this is stitched down right here, I will flip the fabric up, and then it's going to tack it down right here close to my zipper. And I'll trim it very close to the edge. That's going to be covered, and I'm going to go back and show you. Let's go back to my picture. Let's open this up. Let's go to the camera. Let's see if we can make this go to here. Let me go look at this and show you. Okay, so let's look here. So we've done all of these, and as I said, those are stitch and flip. And let me see if I could find, here we go. So let's say you would lay this fabric here, this fabric would lay on top. My placement line is right here. It's going to stitch, and then I'm going to flip this over. And this one has to at least reach the placement line over there. And then I would put another piece on top, stitch it, flip, stitch, flip. So that's that whole section. This piece would be laid here, and it's going to be stitched down, flipped up, and then it stitches right under here, underneath this piece. This ribbon covers up what's under there. So that's what makes that so pretty. You can make a band of fabric to put there. This is a 1/2 inch ribbon, or you can use the ribbon in there. So first this flips up and gets tacked down. It's actually tacked down here a little bit below the zipper area. And then it'll do this embroidery. So we'll flip back. Now it's going to do a lot of this at the machine, but it takes the machine a long time to stitch out. So, and then, you know, sometimes things go awry. All right, so we've done, let me go back to this. So now it did its tack down up there. And let's see where we're at next. I'm going to do start this up again. It's going to do all that stitching here for Janome. Okay, so now it's starting to stitch back up here by the zipper. And this little part right here is actually adding the lining behind this. Okay, I didn't put any lining until now. So you would put your lining on the back and it's going to tack it down. And then after you tack it down, you take your hoop off and you move your lining fabric down, back down behind here. And then you're going to be stitching on that ribbon. So the ribbon gets stitched on. And it covers up all those sins that are in here. And you can actually stitch your lining and the top of the ribbon at the same time. This one here will go back. This green one, where I said add the lining, you add the lining, and that's in the instructions. And then you would put your ribbon on the front, and then it would stitch the ribbon and the lining. You'd move the lining down before it did the other piece of the top stitch that's at the bottom. And then you would move on to the flap. So I'm going to talk about the flap in just a moment when we get up there. So there it's sewing, there's the other edge of that ribbon. It's covering up all of that stuff that's up here, so it's nice and neat. You could make it bigger. You could use 1-inch ribbon as well. So this stitch out right here, this is adding the upper lining. So I would have my lining, upper lining hanging in the back of my hoop down here. It's going to stitch it across. And then, let's see, what does it have there? After it stitches it across, you can flip your lining up on the back. And then we're going to do the top stitching for the flap. So before this stitches, let's go back just a little bit. Okay, we'll stop there. Let me go to the camera because I can show you this part. And hold on. Let's see if it'll switch. I think it switched. There we go. All right, so there we are. So this is the little flap. Let me open this up a minute to show you. So, and this is just my my stabilizer I have to tear away. So this was stitched on and then folded into place. And then what I did is I took this folded fabric, and it's like I think I took a 5-inch piece just to have enough, and I fold it in half, and I take that fold, my zipper's here, make sure your zipper stays open while you're working on this, because you need to make sure you don't, especially when you put your zipper ends in, your zipper covers, you don't have your zipper out here. I took that fold and laid it on my ribbon so that it would come right across here. Now you could have it cover the whole ribbon. You could have it just at the top of the ribbon. It just depends on where you want that fold. And then once it was there, I did top stitch right here, but because this is not that big, I could have just left it and it would have finished it in the outer stitching. So I don't mind that it's there. I think if that other piece was there, it would really make it really floppy, a little bit floppy on there. And you can add a piece of interfacing in here if you want to make this a little more stiff. This piece, if you wanted to decorate it ahead of time with embroidery, you could do that separately and have it ready to go. You could, use your sewing machine to top stitch along here if you wanted before you started. There's a lot of things you could do with that piece, okay? So it's going to top stitch that on. So we'll go back to the stitching part. Let's see here. All right, and so it's top stitching now. I mean, there's the top stitching, sorry. It attached the lining. I moved my lining up, and now it's top stitching the flap. Now, when it goes over here, these are for those loops. And what I like to do is, I don't always use a loop on the edge, but I like to leave these in as reminders, because many times I think, oh, I'll remember to lay that loop on there before, you know, I close everything up, and then I forget. So I usually leave these in. It's going to stitch here and stitch there. It's just a reminder, because I'll lay my loop somewhere on the side here over that line. I don't use that. You can use it for stitch down if you wanted to put it twice in here. You could mark it and then sew on it, would be the same. I just catch it in the outer stitch out. So those are my loop reminders. Okay, so one on each side. I might not have a loop on each side, but I have a reminder. Now, this is going to stitch completely around. And after it stitches this, I'm going to keep everything in the hoop. I'm going to trim my lining close to that stitching. I'm going to trim the front section close to that stitching. It just makes things go together really easy at the end. So it's going to stitch all the way around. And this is just holding fabrics in place so you can trim up close. So you would stop your machine here, take your hoop off, trim from the back, all around the outside. Make sure when you put your machine back, you put it back on, that your zipper head is somewhere in the middle, so you'll be able to get into your bag, because we're going to open through the zipper. And at this point, you're going to take your back section and lay it right side down, and it's trimmed also, and it will lay right on top of this. And you'll do the tack, the inside stitch, which is the finalizing stitch, and then the decorative. I use a decorative stitch to finish off my edge. So I want to go back to my browser for just a minute, and I want to bring in the back quilting. So this is the back of the bag. And again, I just took that outer placement line from the front, brought it over here. And then this is my tack down for my fabric. So my batting and my back fabric have to cover all of this. And so I did that. I do this part, lay the batting and the fabric, and then tack it down. And then here it's going to stitch the Janomes. And at this point, I decided I would add lining to the back. So I took my hoop off, I laid the lining on the back, and then you can add, on this one, I didn't update it. You can take this one here and you can copy paste it and move it back one. And then it will tack that backing fabric down if you feel you need it. And then it'll do this quilting on here. Okay. So let's go back to the finishing of the bag, then we'll come back here. Let me look at my time. I know we're going to be long today. I just know it. All right, back to combo. And we are here. Okay, so it finished that. It's going to do this inside stitching now. So this will be like my seam to hold everything together. I'm going to move it ahead quickly. And then my last one, I did actually a little buttonhole stitch on the edge, but I changed it after I got it done. I didn't make my bite long enough, so I had to make it bigger. So that's how I finish my edges off with a decorative stitch. So the back and the front were trimmed so that they're right at the orange edge. So this just goes around. This is just stitched on the stabilizer. And when I take it out of the hoop, I just undo, trim all close, and then turn it through the zipper, and my bag is all done. All right, so let's go back and we're going to look at the back quilting, because I'm going to start here first and show you how I created this Janome, because the Janome came from the other page, the other the front section as well. So this is just a font that I used, and I'm not even sure, since I did break apart, if this will show up in here. Yeah, so I used a true type font, and I'm in my Mac. So let's move over here. And I'm gonna just put, I'm gonna type Janome. Oh, and it could be this font right here. Okay, so let me click off of it. So I decided when this came up that I did not want the inside part. Let me just, I don't think I want to go back and look for one more other one. Let's see. Nope, that's too big. Oh, this is pretty good. All right. So I didn't want the fill. I just wanted the outline. So when it's selected, you come down here and you delete your fill with this X. So now I have a nice outline. I selected my outline and I went over here and I changed, it's a running stitch and I wanted it a double. So I clicked on double, and then I can change the length here. I might have changed it to 3 millimeters. So I can, even though I'm in inches, I can put in 3.0 mm. And if you're, so if you're in inches, you can just type 3.0 mm and it will change it, the stitch length to 3 millimeter. Then I took it and I selected it and I wanted it to be on an angle. So I took it like this, and then if you click on one of these on the corner, you can see these are the rotate. I can take this and bring it right over here, and it will rotate off this axis. So when I do this, it just will bring it up like that. So I'm like, oh, I think that's where I want it. All right. Once I had it there, I can, I think I broke it apart at this juncture too, but it's better to keep it together. Then I used my rectangular array, and I'm actually gonna, and then I decided, I think I only needed maybe 2 here and 2 there. Oh, that should be 2. There we go. And I'm just gonna bring it back over here so you can see. So you would just lay this on top of that, your rectangle there, and figure out where you want it. And you can, I'm going to put it here so you can see what I'm doing. Let's drag this over it. I can't drag till I get it. So here you can move it further apart this way or that way using that bottom square. Okay. You can move it around using this, and you can angle it again using this, the green. All right, so let's do it again. This moves this way or that way, left and right and down. So if you need them closer this way, you can do that. You can also put numbers in up here, and this can move it around like that. Once you have it, you just hit apply. And then at this point, if I wanted to do break apart, I could right click and break apart. It would take some of those jump stitches away from me that I don't need. And then, but when you do that, it makes a lot of little pieces. So you have to remember that to keep things together. All right. So let me get rid of that. That's how I did the Janome on both sides, on both parts. Let's go back to this one. Let me see if there's any questions. Everybody's so quiet. Everybody's so quiet. All right, let's see where we are here as far as, okay. All right, so that's how I did my Janome. Let me show you these parts if I can find a better picture of them. Let's see. What do I have open? I have Final One Combo. Let's do this one. All right, so we'll go in here. So I created these lines by turning on my grid. So I went up here to View, Grid, Show, and then I turned on View, Grid, and made sure Snap was turned on. And I like Snap because when I go to do those lines, and they're hard to see here, there we go. So the green line here, this is placement. This is our 1/4 inch away, you can see, because I have these set up in little eighth marks. I used my Digitize outline shape tool right here, and then I just clicked here and went up here. And see how it snaps to the line? This makes great lines that don't back up on themselves. You know, if you've ever drawn a line and then you left click, right click, and shape, sometimes it does, because you're not straight, it will go backwards a bit. And that's what you don't want. You want it to go forward. And then to make them all start and stop in the same directions, you have to work with mirror stitches. So you might have to do it as a cross to make them all start at the top and go down. And that's how you would change that direction. So once I have my line, it's running, I can come over here. I don't need to change the width, but I can change the length. If this is placement, I could make it, 4 millimeters in length. I don't have to. Let me see what I did. Oops, let me escape out of there. I don't want to leave this on because it'll just keep getting in my way. So this one here, I'm not sure what I put that at. That length is not quite 3 millimeters. So maybe it's a 4, a little bit higher. So those were my placement lines. So I did the placement lines, and then I went back and I made a 1/4 inch away. I created the stitch lines. And of course, they all had to be on this diagonal, at least reach to that diagonal. This is the stitch line for the diagonal fabric. Yeah, Janie, sometimes you have to play around with that and figure out, okay, wait a minute, this one's, I gotta use, I'm not sure which one, sometimes I have to play with it to see which way they're going to stitch. But that's why you go to slow redraw. Or while you have them open or selected, if you have your manual open like this, you can go to edit stitches and zoom in. Let's see if I can get it to, it might only have, let's see. Oh, there it is. I don't know why it's not showing my, let me go here first, select it. Usually it shows the little stitch points, and they're all pointing up. So I know it's going in that direction. This one here, let's see which way it's going. It's stitching in that direction. So that will help you with that part of it. Okay. All right, let me see what else I can show. This, you can see here, this is my original where I had this is the little buttonhole stitch or applique stitch, and I had it not deep enough here and not close enough together. So I can show you that. Let me think what else. Let me turn the grid off because that gets very annoying sometimes and there are hotkeys where you can turn your grid on and off. Let's delete this piece since I don't need it. All right, so that is the front. So you have all those flip and turns. Now, how do I figure out how much fabric that I'm going to use? So let's zoom in close. You can come here to your measure tool and you can change it to inches or millimeters, whichever you like to work in. I want to measure from out here. This is like an outer edge of my piece. So I'm going to measure from here to the placement line. All right, oops, and it stopped. Let's see, hold it and drag. All right, so this is 1.5 inches to right there. So for the piece that's on the bottom, 1.5 inches would be fine. And for the piece on the top, I want to make sure it's going to fit between here. So this, and I think you could do 1.5 inches, but you can check this. This is 1 inch and this is 1.25 inches from placement line to placement line. But your fabric has to like lay here and then flip back over. So there's actually a 1/4 inch in one direction, 1/4 inch in the other. So this amount here, you need to add a 1/2 inch. So to each of these between your placement lines, you add a 1/2 inch. Now, if you're not a quilter, that's probably why you don't understand that part of it. Quilters have this 1/4 inch that's laying right here. And your fabric, when you lay it down and stitch it, now you have a 1/4 inch of fabric here, and then when you go back this way, you have to make sure you adjust for it, okay? So, and you can measure lots of ways. Ah, there we go. All right, so Janie's learning a lot of things today. That's really great. All right, so let's talk about this finishing stitch here and how to change the bite of it over here. So let me turn off the measure tool. So I have it selected. It's the applique stitch. The bite of it is the width. So I think I went with 4mm or larger. Let me see what 4 gave me. That might not work. Let me try 7. There we go. That's a nice big one. And if I wanted them closer together, I would change my length here. Maybe I would put in the length. Maybe I want them close, like 1.5mm. There we go. So now they're very close. You can use a lot of other stitches for this as well, but I thought I would try that this time. I just didn't make the bite big enough at this point. I should have done a little test of that. Usually I do a little test stitch, but I didn't really do a test stitch. I think I've been eating too many Christmas cookies is half the problem. All right, so I'm going to put the camera back on. If you guys have a question on part of this, let me know, because we're getting close. We're running late, which is fine. You know, I don't mind talking. Let me get the camera back up. And here we go. All right, so there's a lot to this, and that's why I'm going to post the instructions. And actually, it's not really, it's a little bit of instructions, but it's just the color stops. So you know what color stops are where, so that when you go through and you're looking at the video again, and I'm showing you in slow redraw where all the parts are. Now you can see, you can match that up with the instructions or the color list that I'm giving you. And then you can look on the screen to see you know, stitch length and that kind of stuff. Typically when I top stitch, I like a 3mm stitch. I don't use the double stitch a lot. It just depends on what I'm doing on there. And I will make that a 3mm or 4mm just to give it a little bit bigger look. I stitched with a Janome pre-wound, so I used my 10-gram case. I'm on my CM17 for that. And I did switch thread at the very, I used a red for almost everything because I wanted that embroidery. But at the very end for that, the strip that I put in there, the rib, oh, let me show you the ribbon really quick now that I thought of it. The ribbon, I switched to black for that because I just thought the red would just be too much. All right, so let me show you here. Oops, that's not what I want. Let me get rid of that. Oh boy, there we go, cancel that. Here we go. So I'm gonna go on this far side over here and we'll go up a little bit because we put that ribbon on, let's see, right here. Oh, this is the old one. Let me go back to this one and we'll go back in here. Let's go down here because the ribbon goes in right here after the Janome. So what you do is first you're going to do your Janome, and then you're going to take your hoop off and lay your lower lining right side down with it, you know, up that way, so that it comes up over the zipper and is down in here. It's a pretty big piece. And then on the front, you can lay your ribbon over this section that's between here and here. So when I go in, I'm going to show you, when we measure that, between here and there, it's a little bit less than, it's just about a 1/2 inch right in there. So I would use a 1/2 inch to a 7/8 inch ribbon, and you would be set on that part of it. So just figure out, my ribbon hangs up just a little bit above this towards the zipper teeth, and it'll get stitched down across that way, and then the other one will go in here. Okay. If you're not sure, you can put this to, you could make a little sample with your ribbon, do two lines, separate on a different piece, and then see how far apart this is and put your ribbon, lay your ribbon down and see where it's going to stitch on your ribbon. So maybe you need to make this one, closer down this way, or this one up closer so it stitches on the ribbon. Mine's pretty close. I'll show you. We'll go back to the ribbon really quick here. Mine is very close on that part of it. So here we go we'll go to the camera really quick and I'll show you when we get up close here. So you see how close I am here? So that's where you want to make a little sample of this so you know how big your ribbon's going to be and then where you want your stitching. Now what I did to check this is I laid my ribbon down and I went to the first stitch of the top and I put the needle down right here to see, oh yeah, that's right. Then I jumped ahead to this one and to see where that needle would go. And I'm like, okay, I've got it in the right spot. Then I moved back in my machine to this one and stitched that down. And of course, I was saying a lot of prayers during that time period to make sure that went on there just like that. All right, back to the camera and some quick goodbyes. So be sure to check over. Yep, you can do this on the 550. You can do this on any embroidery machine. That's a good question. You do need, for some parts of this, you do need the full program, because the full program has the shapes tool and it has the digitized outline shape tool too for lines. But if you're in junior, there are ways to borrow those lines from other places and bring them in and bring those shapes in and convert them and use them that way. So there are some workarounds, but it is much easier in the full program. Oh, thank you, Cheryl. I'm glad you like the series. I don't know for next year if I want to do a series, or I'm kind of, I have a lot of ideas of things I want to do. So maybe one of the series might be working with the drawing tablet that I got. So I might do a little bit of a series on that so we can, get that going. I think a couple people got them, and I know I got one, so people are caused a little bit of storm. I just opened mine and peeked in there. I haven't really looked at it yet because I had to get this done today. So now I can think about that other part there. So yes, you can do this as Noreen is asking, you could do this on the 550. Now my bag is probably, it's like 9, I think it's, this might be 8 by 10 or something like that. So but you could work in the size hoop that you have. Like I did smaller bags, you would do that in a smaller hoop. I made that giant bag because I could make it in my really big hoop. So you can adjust everything to what you have and you could make it your own that way. I would start with our first January bag, so that the zip pouch for January, because it's the basic one. And each month I give you some more tools or more things to do. And we share some stuff from the month before in the next month. So you have that. So you can go through all of those videos. Now someone mentioned my earrings. They're little elves. I went to a really cute craft show when I was in Portland. And, I don't want to keep everybody because I know we're at an hour, but I just have to say, typically, Dot and I over here, we're behind the counter and talking sales and all of that. So we don't get a lot of time to talk to everyone. So for me, it was like a whole afternoon. I think I went in the morning and I stayed like 4 hours talking to almost all the vendors. So I really had a great time. It was quite fun. So thank you, Donna. I want to wish all of you a very Merry New Year. Happy New Year, because we're right there again. And thank you for joining me this year. I always get a little teary-eyed at this point because the first year I did this, when it got to be December, I couldn't believe how far we've come. And I still cannot believe how far we come. We are 11,000 members over on the Janome Artistic Digitizer Facebook page. We have lots going on over there, people posting. The videos are posted over there. I'm working on some fun things for this next year as well. So be sure to check those out. So thank you everyone for joining me. Have a safe and happy new year. We'll see you again in 2024. It's right here before you know it. Bye-bye.